Hello, and welcome to another in our series of TC Palm Editorial Board interviews with the candidates who are up for election August 23rd. Today, we're talking to candidates for the Indiantown Village Council, and in this segment, we're talking to the two candidates for the Seat 4 position on the council. Jackie Clark and Angelina Perez have both joined us today. Thank you for that. I'm Blake Fontenay. I'm a columnist and editorial board member for TC Palm. I'm joined by two of my fellow columnists, Larry Reisman and Ed Killer, who are also editorial board members, and Adam Neal, who is our executive editor and an editorial board member. We use these interviews as a way for the editorial board to help reach a decision about whether or not it wants to endorse anyone in a particular race. And we also make the videos available for the public to watch on our website. This session should last around 45 minutes or perhaps a little bit longer, but I would ask the candidates to try and be as brief in your answers as you can while still going into detail and getting good answers to the questions. So just please be mindful of the time. And if there are no further questions from them at this point, we will start with our first question. We'll go alphabetically. Typically, we'll alternate on these questions. Jackie Clark, the first question I have for you: could you describe one ethical dilemma that you faced during your life and how you resolved it?
I work for the Florida Department of Health, so I have to recuse myself from voting or acknowledge myself when the Department of Health is having any conversation or presentation with the village. Also, I had a family member applied for a permit to do a food truck in the village, and it was made known, that I had to recuse myself from that vote because I am related.
Okay, thank you. And Angelina, the same question for you. If you could describe one ethical dilemma you faced in your life and how you were able to resolve
it. I haven't gone across the ethical issue. I work for Indiantown nonprofit, so I haven't really hit that subject.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And Angelina, we will start with you for the next question. Tell us your feelings on the Terra-Lago project and any concerns that you might have about it.
I'm excited that new housing is coming. We need it here in Indiantown. My only concern is hopefully we don't do rapid growth. Let's take it back a little, build what, in the phases, slow, but make it happen because we do need housing here in Indiantown.
Okay, thank you. And Jackie, the same question for you. Do you support the Terra-Lago project, and what concerns, if any, do you have about it?
Well, the concern was the infrastructure. So we got the $18 million from the governor. We're just waiting for it to be signed. So that helps alleviate some of the Terra-Lago and the infrastructure within Indiantown. I'm excited. We passed that 5-0 on the council. It's been a long time coming for us to get some attainable, affordable housing here for, the working class. But also, I am sure that some of these families here in the village who have been wanting a place of their own We'll be happy when Terra-Lago do the ribbon cutting so they can start applying. The Terra-Lago did do a couple of workshops or went into different areas to roll out their plan, you know, over 20 years or so. So many homes are going to be built, and a lot of the residents was excited. So these are exciting times for us to get some new homes. And we look forward to willingly help anyone else who wants to come into the village to build some affordable housing.
Thank you. And let me stick with you on the next question. Since you mentioned infrastructure related to that project, what is the plan for moving forward? What types of improvements do you foresee being needed, and how will the village go about paying for them?
Well, that $18 million, like I said, is going to be a big help to us. We are in the process for applying for more grants. The Garcia Group was very instrumental in helping us with that $18 million. So now he can go ahead and start moving forward for phase one of his project with the new piping going down to help assist with his project to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Angelina, the same question. What types of infrastructure do you foresee will be needed as a result of Terra-Lago, and what's the plan for paying for that?
I feel, you know, for Terra-Lago to go in, we need to our sewage too. You know, we see that our sewage system is not the greatest, and you know, with grants, you know, with the help from the governor and other, you know, the council members applying for grants and being able to make Terra-Lago happen.
Okay, thank you. And let me come back to you on this next question. Angelina, how do you feel about the village hall? Do you feel like it's something that the community needs? And if so, what's the best way to go about taking the next steps in the process?
I do not agree with the village hall. I feel like we don't need it at this current moment. I feel that we can, you know, have what we have right now, which is there in the Indiantown nonprofit building. You know, I feel that there's other concerns, there's other areas that we need to improve before we start building this village hall.
Okay. All right. Jackie, same question.
Well, Blake, if you don't mind, we're in the planning stage of the hall, and for some reason, it's like we're building a Taj Mahal. We had workshops for this. Now, we don't have the yay or the nay to move forward because financially we got to see, can we afford it? But the residents participated in these workshops. So right now we're in the planning stage. In fact, the council needs to give some feedback to the architect on different scenarios he's submitted to us in our couple meetings ago. So right now we're in the planning stage. So there is no say that this hall definitely is going to be built. We really got to see if it's in the budget. That's where I stand at. We got to count up the costs. That's like, you know, you're building a house. You got to count up the costs. You go tell the designer what you want, but then when they bring you back the full cost, if you can't afford it, you can't move forward. If you can afford it, you move forward. Every St. Lucie have their own village hall. City of Stewart has theirs. We were in a county building, but they didn't renew the contract, so we had to move. Every city municipality needs their own place to call home. So like I said, right now we're in the planning stage. Yeah, that's where we're at.
But just
Blake, may I just? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, jump in, Larry.
No, I just have a quick follow on that. Would you be willing to borrow money to build a city hall, or is it more you'd rather save the money to pay for it?
At the end of the day, that's a whole council. You know, I'm only one person. Like I said, if we cannot afford it, there's no need to move forward. But remember, I'm only one person.
Well, let me also ask a follow up to you on that one. Um, I hear what you're saying. If you can't afford it, you don't need to move forward. But personally, do you support it or not? The concept of what a village hall would be.
Which, when you mean, do I, what it looks like now, do I agree with what it looks like? The residents is the one who went to the workshops, and he came back with what the residents said. And I'm sure we're going to have some more workshops. But honestly, guys, I mean, we know globally right now, everything is at a halt. I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, we're in the planning stage, and I seriously go by that. When I go shop for a car, if I can't afford it, I'm not going to purchase it.
Okay. Looks like we may have lost her for a minute there. Hopefully, she will. Or she's Adam. Can you see her? She's apparently trying to talk, but looks like she's.
Yep,
muted.
it looks like she's back, but I think she muted herself. So, Jackie, you have to unmute yourself.
Oh, I couldn't hear you, Blake. Can you hear
There
me?
you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We lost you for just a second. If you could finish your thought, we lost the last part of your answer there.
Oh, I was saying that I'm only one individual. The residents did have their input on how they wanted this hall to look. Like I said, globally, there's economics, shortenings or troubles everywhere. We had a 3%, in our revenue from the state and the taxes there. So again, I say to you, me personally, if we cannot afford this, I will not vote for it.
When do you think you'll know that? I mean, when's that answer going to be clear to you?
I don't know. I think it should be on the agenda coming up in August. On the August agenda.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit, and we'll start with you on this next question. In every community, there are certain businesses that people would like to have. In Port St. Lucie, they're excited about possibly getting a Costco or a cheesecake factory. Can you name a couple of businesses that you would really like to see come to Indiantown that you don't currently have?
Well, there was, I think somebody did a survey on Facebook. They were saying we've had Aldi's, Publix, Walmart. I mean, I think we're not ready for a Walmart yet, me personally, because I think they really do go by bigger numbers, but you never know. There is a young gentleman that was raised here. I think Publix have those mini markets, but Aldi's or Sprouts to me would fit in this neighborhood good. But for me, I think Aldi's. I mean, some of those names were on the retail study that we did, and we should have a follow-up. I mean, if it's not this next agenda item, it's going to be on there. I did ask for an update on the retail study.
Thank you. Angelina, same question. Could you name a couple of businesses that you would really like to see come to Indiantown?
Yes, actually, we just talked about it today. We would like more like homemade food. Indiantown has Spanish food, but we were what about pizza? What about Chili's? Food entities, because we're limited out here in Indiantown. We people love food and people will buy food. So more like Chili's, maybe a Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A.
Okay. All right. And Angelina, let me ask you this question, and this is directed solely at you. We got your questionnaire responses, and I noticed there was your response on our question about whether or not you had a bankruptcy. You answered as NA or not applicable. Does that mean that you haven't had a bankruptcy in the past, or?
Never had a bankruptcy.
Okay. All right. Well, let me stay with you for the next question. Indiantown has a long history of, equestrian tradition, the rodeo, other events. Can you talk a little bit about what, if any, ways there might be to sort of build on that tradition and bring more economic development or tourism to Indiantown?
I see Timers is renting out their arena for parties. I see that they're willing to pay the cost to use the arena. And that could be one of them. The fact that that could be growth. Even when the new housing is developed, hey, everybody wants to do a party. Let's go to the arena, because we don't have village halls here or any village events to hold our events. The only thing we have is the civic center.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, same question. Are there ways to build on Indiantown's equestrian tradition to promote economic development and or tourism?
Oh, sure. I think the marina probably will be, since the LDR has complied with some of their rules, probably could entertain out there. That's at the Indiantown Marina. Also, the Marine, that's not entertainment, but they'll be servicing boats there. But yeah, the arena at Thomas Power Park hold that annual rodeo. I think they still do in between little shows out there. They had movie nights out there. So the park is could be very useful for a lot of family fun. You got the boat ramp out there. Family take their children fishing out there. People also use that, for weddings and family reunions and birthday parties, baby showers, and different things like that. So, yes.
Okay. Thank you. And let's start with you on the next question as well. Please describe your top 3 priorities if you are reelected.
Infrastructure, continue with the wastewater, also with the public works, the road surfacing, parks and recs is on my initiative. I'm reelected. We finally got us director of the parks. Miss Debbie came from the Martin County Parks and Rec. So we're looking at funding for that. And continue to build on the waterworks and the public works, and continue the infrastructure project and with the drainage throughout the village.
Okay, thank you. Angelina, same question. Please describe your top 3 priorities if elected.
I think my 3 top priorities would be parks. I run the local soccer program here out in Indiantown, and I see the condition of the fields. And let's make the park safe for the children to use. And I was thinking the other day, I was out at Circle K at 12 o'clock. There were some kids playing on that playground. We could bring shade to the playground so they don't have to get burnt riding down the slide or playing on the swing. My second priority would probably be the water. Let's have drinkable, clean water. And my third would be the infrastructures. Improving the current infrastructures.
Okay, thank you. Well, following up on that question, Angelina, talk a little bit about how the village could improve its drinking water. What are some of the steps that need to be taken, and how would you pay for them?
See, since I'm just a candidate, so I'm not well informed, of what it takes to make drinkable, clean water. I see that there's a cost associated with that. You would think we could get grants to improve the water quality here in Indiantown.
Okay. Thank you. And Jackie, same question. What does the village need to do to improve drinking water quality, and how would you go about paying for that?
Oh, just as we are in the process of doing, seeking funding, which we sought funding to purchase it with loans and grants. It cost us $8.5 million. We end up getting it for $2.2 million with loans and grants forgiveness. Improving the water is essential. I think that's been a lifelong for all of us. Most of us who have been here since the water company been in existence, and we're improving it. You got to change out the old corroded pipes, the pumps, the lift stations. Right now, we're putting in electric water meters so that residents will be able to see just exactly how much water they are using, because the old water meters really are outdated, and we got to bring the water system up to the current century, as we say. But definitely with grants and low rate loans, if it takes that, I can tell you that the water is sustainable. We purchased it. It is holds its own. It pays for its own employees, and for most of all of its upkeeping and whatever most equipment that they have to use. So that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. And let me start with you on the next question. What are the three biggest challenges you see ahead for the village in the next 5 to 10 years?
Like I said, globally, the challenge is all over. Of course, one of our challenges I know is we have to find other ways to bring revenue into the village. FP&L, everybody knows, is our biggest revenue, based here, and so we have to find a ways for this infrastructure. Like I said, those $18 million is going to help us. The Garcia Group could start, building their project, and hopefully, other businesses will come in to Indiantown, where great things grow here, to alleviate the taxpayers from having this heavy burden, if FP&L should decide to just leave. So you just got to have other ways and not have all of our eggs in one basket. So that's, vetting the businesses, the developers, whoever wants to come here, and hopefully they, fit in this community. So, the challenge is hoping we get the good businesses and the right people that want to come here to fit this very unique community.
Okay, thank you. And Angelina, same question. What are the three biggest challenges facing Indiantown over the next 5 to 10 years?
The infrastructure, could we, our goal is to improve, what we have here in Indiantown. Will it be fixed in the 5 or 10 years? We don't know. It's depending on funding, and do we have the money to make it happen?
Okay. And just as a quick follow-up on that, what types of infrastructure do you think are most needed?
Most needed? That's the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the roads and then the sewage system. Improving our sewage system. It's old. God forbid we ever have a sewage spill. That's not going to be good.
Okay. All right. Starting with you again, Angelina, on this next one. What steps are needed to improve public safety, police and fire, assuming you feel like there are improvements needed?
With fire rescue, improvements is just, I think we need to keep Martin County Fire Rescue. It's one of the best we have here. And, we would like to have somebody, a dispatcher available here in Indiantown. And Martin County Sheriff, more bilingual officers out here in Indiantown. they're amazing, with everything they've done here in Indiantown and in Martin County.
Okay. Thank you. And Jackie, the same question for you. What types of improvements to public safety, police and fire do you think are necessary, if there are any that you think are necessary?
I think there's necessary for, thank God for our first responders. I'm a first responder because I work for Florida Department of Health. There's always room for improvement, more education to the public. And I definitely, I have an open invitation to Sheriff Snyder, education and more community involvement so the people don't be afraid of, the police, versus the police maybe, circle one area versus more than they do other. But definitely communication. If the residents, see the police as not only when something happened and versus, when something happened, communicating together, just coming together. They do these events that they do every year. They go into different neighborhoods. But like, for instance, the EMTs go out to Indianwood and give them a follow-up. So I'm going to put it on the table that they broaden their base and come into the churches and give the churches a update on what is going. Because, if you don't break bread and people only see you, on your job and don't see you, outside of your job. So communication is a key to us here. This is such a big melting pot community here. And communication is the key in order for us, to be open-minded to each other. But we respect the work that people do and the services. You just gotta, like I said, I work for the Department of Health. Education is key when the worker or the resident don't look like you, to keep a balance and won't make them afraid or not to come and tell you something if something is wrong. A lot of people probably don't come, tell or report stuff because they're afraid. You know what I mean? So education to me is going to be the key.
Okay. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to ask the other editorial board members if any of them have questions. Let's start with Larry. Anything on your mind at this point?
Not right now, Blank. Thank you.
Okay. Ed?
Yes, I have one question for the candidates. I guess we start with Ms. Clark. Indiantown is it's a long way from anywhere, and the roads you have that come through Indiantown, especially like the B line, 710 there, Alapata Road, 12-mile grade. There's a lot of fatal traffic accidents on these roads on a regular basis. Is there anything that the Indiantown Village Council can do to make these roads safer?
Alapata just had a remakeover. I'm praying that it's safer now. They do have a rail out there by that canal. So I don't know when the last time you was out there and took that drive. I used to.
You're right. It's been a while. Yeah.
Well, you got to come. Alapata
Okay.
has been redone. They did a marvelous job. FDOT did. Like I said, they have the railing out there. Where the ditch didn't have the railing, where people would go fencing. So they have made that safer for residents who's commuting on that road. So that is safer. 710, we're in the works definitely for Warfield from our part to get money to redo this whole road in the plans with FDOT. That is something down the future. And I know further down by Clemensville, 710 going towards Okeechobee, that is a hazardous area. Fortunately, had a fatal accident. Someone in our community lost her daughter up that road. And they are working with FDOT, definitely the MPO. So we do have representation on that board. The village has written letters. Fortunately, I work for the government on both sides. Things are slow, but they, in that 45-year plan, they do have plans and have talked about making improvements on 710.
Thank you. Ms. Perez, the same question to you. What can the Indiantown Village Council do to help make these roads into Indiantown safer for people?
By being part of the, Florida Department of Transportation, letting them know our concerns. It is dangerous driving. I don't even let my kid go towards Okeechobee because it is so dangerous. He's 17 years old. God forbid something happens. And then Alapata, yeah, it's done. It's nice. It's smoother. It's just giving them our input on what we need to be safe for these drivers.
Thank you. I have another question, Blake, if that's okay.
Fire away.
Okay. The other question I have, Ms. Perez, we'll start with you. Recently in recent years, we've seen FP&L convert their power station there. They were a coal burning plant, and they've shut that down, and it's unclear what their plans are. The egg farm has left Indiantown, and citrus, which used to be one of the big industries in town with the juice plant and citrus growing all over the area, has also closed down. Is there any what can the village council do to help with a reduction in the number of jobs that are available in the town, and how can it help people hang on?
They can do is attracting new businesses. Give them an incentive to come to Indiantown. What can we do to attract businesses? Making them come out to Indiantown. Sometimes people don't even know where Indiantown's at. Oh, where do you live? Indiantown? Oh, I don't know where that is. We could bring business out here, giving them incentive to come to Indiantown.
Thank you very much. Ms. Clark, same question to you with the three large businesses that have left Indiantown or are in the process of leaving. What can the Village Town Council do to help with jobs out there?
Continue to network. We're networking with the BBD. We also have Carbon Solution, who has a application in process, so it hasn't been finalized yet. We do have 2 manufacturer people who got applications pending. So there are some businesses that are pending to come here where great things grow. So, time takes everything. I truly believe when the Garcia groups cut that ribbon, we will see more follow suit.
Can I ask you a question, Ms. Clark? I'm not familiar with the Garcia group. What type of business do they
Garcia
have?
group is that's the Terralago. I'm sorry. Terralago. I'm calling it by the owner's name.
So
Terralago is the Garcia group that that's the first major development that we passed since being incorporated. So, yes, once they cut ribbon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the questions I have, Blake.
Thank you. Adam, do you have anything at this point?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, let me come back to Jackie then, and sort of piggybacking on some of the questions we've already asked, but let me ask a broader question. How much growth is too much growth?
I'm born and raised here all my life, and our strategic plan, and even as I was pushing for a corporation, I'm for growth, but I'm for smart growth, meaning everything has to be vetted to see if people fit this community. I truly believe that Indiantown was the next place for growth in Martin County that is left, but I'm definitely for smart growth. Always has and always will be. But the change has come. There's nothing that we could do about it, but as being a municipality, as stuff come across, we can decide along with the residents, with workshops, does this business fit in our neck of the woods? But you got to have it to survive. But I'm definitely for smart growth.
Thank you. And just a quick follow-up on that. Smart growth means different things to different people. So what does smart growth mean to
Smart
you?
growth to me is not growing too fast. Like I said, as each entity come in, you got to vet it out. Does it fit here? And if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't belong. But I'm only one person. It does not, only solely is up to me. Yes, it is broad, not growing too fast, not growing too fast, growing at a pace, that could help us keep sustainability, but definitely doing it smart.
Thank you. Angelina, same question for you. How much growth is too much growth?
I think we need to start slow growth. I feel that our infrastructures are not at the standard it needs. God forbid we build fast and don't have, the water plant. Can it house all these new homes? Do we have the roads? Are they going to be in good conditions to get to the homes, in town? That's it.
Thank you. And let me start with you on our next question, another kind of big picture question. But what is your vision for the village, and what kind of place do you want to see it become?
My vision for Indiantown is to have more family orientated, I want to make sure, we have events for the youth. We have soccer, we have basketball. There are future leaders.
Okay. Thank you. Jackie, same question. What is your vision for Indiantown, and what kind of place do you hope it will become?
A healthy community, environmental wise, mobility wise, sustainability financially. That is my vision as we grow, but definitely, connecting our neighborhoods together as we grow, but definitely vibrant, healthy, and sustainable.
Thank you. All right. And let me start with you, Jackie, on this next question. In simplest terms, why should voters choose you over your opponent?
Long life resident. I've been an advocate for in this community for over 20 years. I have a nonprofit where I give back. That's my way of giving back. Come with a plethora of leadership experience. I'm sat on boards, Indiantown nonprofit housing, Indiantown Lions. Do a lot of civic work in the community, resource for those who otherwise couldn't get linkage to health care. And I have a passion and love for my next neighbor, my next door neighbor, which is this community. I have a heartbeat for this community. Born and raised all my life.
Okay. Thank you. And Angelina, same question. In simplest terms, why should voters choose you over your opponent?
I feel that I'm a very genuine, approachable person. I'm an active member of the community. You name it, I'm there. Back in 2018, we were able to form our own soccer club. Indiantown never had one. I felt that it was time for us to represent, our town, our village. And the kids were so excited to finally represent our own. I feel that, I'm going to help you. Everybody knows in town that if you come at my doors, I'm going to help you. If I can't help you, I'm going to direct you to the right person. And last, I'm willing to listen to the residents. Or anybody who comes at me and says, hey, I have a problem. How can you help me? And I'm going to help them.
Okay. Thank you. And we're almost out of time. I'm going to ask one final question before we get to the closing statements from each of you. And I don't know that this has particularly been an issue in Indiantown, but it's something I'm curious about. Angelina, and I'll start with you on this question. Do you believe there should be limits on the number of delays that developers can request in land use cases? And if so, what should those limits be?
I'm not familiar with what you're asking. That would have to be some research that I need to do. So I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. All right. Jackie, the same question. Do you believe there should be limits on the number of delays developers can request in land use cases? And if so, what should those limits be?
Right now, Blake, we have adopted what the state has allotted, and I'm going to say it's at 18 months. I don't know if that would be a case by case. Right now, we have adopted what the state has said, and we're with the 18 months. And I hope I quoted that right.
Well, let me kind of go back on this, and Angelina, if this clarifies anything and you want to jump in, what I was really asking here is when a developer comes before the council and wants to get a land use change or get whatever they need, whether it's site approval or whatever, do you feel like there should be a limit on the number of times that they can ask for delays before the council needs to go ahead and make a decision? Jackie, that one's back to you.
Back to me. Oh, you said if it comes to the council, I'm sorry, Blake. Reread the question again.
Well, do you feel there should be a limit on the number of times a developer can request a delay if they've got a land use case that's pending before the council?
That's a good question. All I can tell you is it would be case by case because I'm not the only one making the decision. I would have to say it to be case by case because it depends on what it is. What it is in their project that one delay could be this, one delay could be something else. So I definitely would say case by case, and I'm pretty sure there's limits on everything.
Okay, thank you. Well, we appreciate the time that you all have taken with us today, and we'd like to ask each of the candidates to make a closing statement to cover anything you feel like we haven't already covered in this interview, and any remarks that you feel would help us make a decision as a board and also help voters make a decision about who to vote for in this election. And Jackie, let's start with you on that one.
Jackie Clark, Long Life resident of Indiantown. I was excited that the resident elected me in 2018 to take on this task. I embraced the task. Me and my family love being here in the community, and I'm asking for their vote to continue the infrastructure that we have started to complete this water system, to overhaul it, for it to be the utility public works that it needs to be for the residents that have been here and endured with us through the years prior to the village taking it over. We have made improvements. Are we perfect? No, but we are work in progress. And I'm proud of the things that we have accomplished, getting help assisting with those $18 million, purchasing of the water, all the grants that we have received thus far to help us with the road improvements. We're paving the roads. We just got a $364,000 grant for a pedestrian study. We just finished a mobility study. So we're moving along. And I asked the residents to look at the record for themselves, and what I have done in this community is not what the community can do for me, it's what I can do for the community. And I solicit your vote and your endorsement if you decide to choose Jackie Clark. Thank you.
Thank you. Angelina, closing statement?
I want to say thank you guys for having us tonight. And I also want to say I've been a member of Indiantown for 36 years. My parents came here back in the 80s. I always ask people, why do you move to Indiantown, or how did you find Indiantown? And it's interesting to hear their stories on why you came to Indiantown. Indiantown's been home. You know, my kids, you know, have been raised here, will continue being raised here, you know, and I love to get back to my community. My children have seen that. You know, my kid wants to go off to become an attorney and come back and you know, and break his office here. You know, and that's something that's amazing, because who would have known that he was going to do that? You know, he's like, I want to come back to Indiantown. All I want to say is come out and vote on August 23rd and do your research on the candidates.
Okay. Thank you to both of the candidates. And for those of you who are watching this broadcast, I hope this has been helpful. And we just encourage everyone to get out and vote in the August 23rd election.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.